Good morning and welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning. If you're watching us live, thank you for that. If you are watching us later or listening to us later, we do upload these shows to www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. We do appreciate that as well. Thanks for tuning in. Minor delays this morning with your traffic at 190 4H Club Road and River Road. Range and I-12 as well as Range and 190. There's actually a pretty significant amount of traffic compared to the last couple of weeks that we've been together here during the stay-at-home order. It's pretty heavy traffic this morning. Looks like some people have found a way to go into work or that kind of thing. Not nearly as bad as when kids are in school or that kind of thing, but there is some pretty significant delays. Not heavy traffic, but some delays at those normal hot spots. It's currently Let me finish that real quick. It's currently 61 degrees, 84 degrees is your high, 67 your overnight low. So please keep that in mind. Going to be a warm one again today. Going to get that afternoon sunshine. Took a walk yesterday with Melanie, and it's kind of funny, you know. Here we all are trying to find a way outside, trying to find a way to walk in this weather because, I mean, it's just, you know, it's not like your normal spring. It's pretty gorgeous outside all the time. And this is going to be another one of those days. Again, about 84 degrees is your high, going to be sunshiny this afternoon. Getting into the novel coronavirus, 13,000 cases in Louisiana, 1,803 hospitalized, 561 of those folks are on ventilators. We have, unfortunately, 477 new deaths. Looking in Livingston Parish, 67 new cases on 194 tests. Now, we do expect that 194 number to go up relatively quick, considering Our Lady of the Lake Livingston has opened up a testing site that is open from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. There's also a rapid testing site at the Lake After Hours, which is on North Highway 16, just north of the Fast Food Four Corners, Fast Food Four-Way, whatever you want to call it. But for both of those, you need to utilize telehealth with your doctor to get an excuse, and that is my dog. If y'all hear a little he's one of those kinds of dogs. You have to get a let me back up a little bit. For the Our Lady of the Lake Livingston campus testing site and for the Lake After Hours rapid testing site, you still need to utilize telehealth, get on the phone with your doctor, try to set up some kind of video conference to get clearance from him or her to go to one of these sites. These are not just show up and get tested kind of sites. Want to remind folks of that. So please remember, these are not just kind of show up kind of sites. Please call your doctor, tell them about your symptoms, see if they can't recommend something from the pharmacy. However, if you are doing extremely poor and you start getting into some of the major symptoms of COVID-19, which is high fever and possibly pneumonia, they may recommend that you go and get a test. Of course, the testing has become more rapid in terms of returns. So looking at more results more quickly. So please keep that in mind. A reminder, again, Our Lady of the Lake Livingston campus, which is in Walker, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Must talk to your doctor first. Or the Lake After Hours on Highway 16, just north of the Fast Food Four-Way. And it is also requiring a doctor's note or a doctor's release that you go through. But again, testing is starting to come more rapidly. Going to expect that 194 tests in Livingston Parish to go up. Of course, statewide, the number of tests continues to rise as well as the number of cases. However, you need to remember, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in a second, but the governor is trying to keep folks on track with hospitalizations and ventilators. Those are the big numbers, and of course, deaths. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. Wanted to let you guys know that as of Friday, Parish President Leighton Ricks is not enforcing a curfew, didn't close the waterways either. No reports over the weekend or any large gatherings or anything like that. But as of this time, because of the stay-at-home order and because there's still enough law enforcement available, the parish president did not believe that a curfew was necessary at this time. So we'll let you guys know if that changes. But as of right now, lost my pen. Having a fidgety morning this morning. As of right now, no curfew in Livingston Parish. please remember, while we did have some slowing of cases, and let's talk about that. So one of the things that came up last week from Governor John Bel Edwards is that we're kind of focused on the number of hospitalized and the number of folks on ventilators. That's sort of been the change in course. There's going to be a lot of people who test positive for the coronavirus, but there's still a ton of people that will never get tested, or at least not at this time, because they're asymptomatic, but they can still spread the virus. So really what they're looking at is healthcare capacity. So how many people get admitted into the hospital or admit themselves, of course, and how many people end up on ventilators. That's how they're going to determine, are we going to overwhelm our capacity or not? And that's why we've been trying to stay at home. That's why we've been trying to flatten the curve. One of the things that is coming up this week, and Surgeon General Jerome Adams has been pretty vocal about this, is that this is going to be our Pearl Harbor moment, or our September 11th moment. There's expected to be a huge spike in cases, hospitalizations, and deaths this week, or at least sometime over the next 10 days. According to national models, which don't quite jive with our local models, you're looking at peak cases by April 15th. Louisiana will have their peak cases between the 12th and the 15th, which would be next week. Now, that's peak cases. That means it's supposed to fall off over that. We're not entirely sure which model's correct. As far as the as far as the local models, those are calling for 25 hospitalizations per day as of mid-May. That is with the current interaction with the stay-at-home order. They take into account number of hospitalizations now, number of ventilators now, how many they think they can get. That would be the state and that sort of thing. The goal is to flatten the curve so much that you're looking at 500 hospitalizations per day in mid-July. Now that is severely worse case scenario compared to the modeling done by the national folks. So we're gonna have to wait and see whose underlying assumptions come through correctly and that sort of thing. But definitely a huge difference. But the governor has warned that yes, this week is going to be bad regardless. Expect a lot of those log jams of the older tests plus newer tests are done faster, so expect a lot more positive case results. They are expecting more hospitalizations to occur during the week, and they're expecting more ventilators to be necessary. So we're going to be keeping an eye on those numbers like we do day over day. But please remember that the governor did sort of shift that focus to try to let people know, yeah, there's going to be a lot of positive cases. A lot of people are going to go through this with minimal, I guess you can say, symptoms and fever and pneumonia and that kind of thing. They might not even have pneumonia. But there are the people that we're focused on, the people that end up in the hospital. Those are the kinds of folks that could end up dead, and we don't want that. So please stay at home. Please try to flatten this curve. We are trying to avoid any issues like that as we, I guess you can say, kind of face the peak, possible peak caseload according to the national models. Of course, again, according to the state models, we're not looking for peak hospitalizations until sometime in May. So we're going to wait and see what happens over the next 10 days, and then we're going to wait and see what happens after that. Please remember that the governor's stay-at-home order was extended to April 30th. The governor also wanted to remind folks that this could be rather unpleasant for a long time. Doesn't necessarily mean that the stay-at-home order is going to last for a long time, but social distancing and mitigation efforts will until a true, not even necessarily if true therapeutic care in the hospitals for this is available. You still can't have that many people in the hospitals. So you're looking at those social distancing and mitigation efforts, which are washing your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, disinfecting common surfaces at work and at home, staying 6 feet away from others in public, gatherings of 10 or less, preferably at this point, no gatherings at all outside of your core family unit, staying home if you're sick and utilizing telehealth to get in touch with your doctor, controlling your cough and sneeze with your elbow. And one that I got called out on. I hadn't been discussing this one, but this is actually one of the more important ones. So please accept my apologies on that one. don't touch your face. I know there's been a couple of times where I scratch my ears and say, oh, look, I'm touching my face, but want to add that to the list. So please remember, as part of your mitigation efforts, avoid touching your face just as much as you can. And I know this is just like the stay-at-home order. You know, everybody's used to staying home, watching TV and that kind of thing. All of a sudden, it's like, well, you got to stay home. Well, I want to go outside. Same thing with your face. You know, don't touch your face. Well, it itches. You know, all of a sudden, it itches all the time. Maybe it's just because we now notice how much it itches. So please remember, let's try to flatten this curve. Continue to stay home. Continue to utilize, digital type deals to do your work. Try to stay in touch with your kids. Keep your kids in touch with the schools. Remember, direct contact with the schools is most important. Of course, the new proclamation came out. We are waiting to hear from the school board and the school system how they're going to choose to handle that. The kids would have gone back on April 20th after spring break. Now they will not go back until May. Not entirely sure how the school is going to handle that, especially since the governor has said that mitigation efforts and social distancing are probably going to have to remain in place for a while. Else we'll just let everybody back out in the world and this will surge back up again. So we got to remember that. Over 100,000 folks signed up for the COVID-19 text alerts from the governor's office. That was quite a lot. Actually, let me look up this number for y'all real quick. So those of you who are listening, you need to text LA COVID, that's LACOVID, to 67283 if you want to get signed up for those text alerts from the governor's office regarding COVID-19. Please remember that. And speaking about text alerts and COVID-19, we did learn that both Florida and Texas now officially are screening folks who are coming in at the border. It used to be sort of as they saw fit. To check people out, but now they are screening everyone who is coming through the border, so you can please expect delays, especially on I-10 on the west side of Lake Charles. Please keep that in mind. We're talking about ventilators and hospitalizations. One thing that was announced over the weekend that was a good sign was 200 more ventilators from the national stockpile will be sent to Louisiana. Those will probably go to District 1. That is the New Orleans area. Right now, that's where all eyes are. Of course, as we've discussed, the ventilators and hospital bed situation, they are setting up 1,000 beds, which should have opened yesterday in the convention center. And the whole point of that is ground zero for Louisiana is New Orleans right now for the novel coronavirus. Those numbers continue to grow. They expect a lot of hospitalizations and unfortunately some deaths over the next couple of days. If they overwhelm their healthcare infrastructure, that's going to cause a domino effect where it's going to start to fall off in other places as well. So please keep an eye on New Orleans. That's the frontline battle. Please thank a healthcare worker if you can. And there is a nice little video with some celebrities thanking healthcare workers. We're going to talk about that in a bit. Talking about stay at home, Big Brother is watching a group called Unicast, which collects cell phone data, as well as Google, have both been tracking folks since this started, tracking trends, only about 10% increase in residential trends, while some fall offs in some other areas. But according to Unicast right now, Louisiana has a D score in staying at home. Now, one of the problems is that, especially in a place like Livingston Parish, for a lot of folks, you have to go over a mile to go to the grocery store. However, according to Unicast, a lot of these trips are being taken more often. So please remember, try to go to the grocery store only one. Try to load up as much as you can. I know cash flow is an issue for some people and that kind of thing. But please try to go to the grocery store, the pharmacy, or the doctor as little as possible during this time. Please remember those are part of the stay-at-home order. When we're talking about businesses, the National Chamber expects most small businesses to be at least temporarily closed by April 15th due to a lack of capital. As of right now, those SBA 7A loans are having a little trouble catching fire and getting out. Of course, the the Treasury Department got them approved. The president signed it off, and then the SBA was ready to do it, but they're still working with a lot of local banks to get some of the paperwork and process set up. So if you did apply for a 7A loan, you're probably a little frustrated at the moment. They are still working on that process locally. Of course, they're trying to go through local banks to make these federally backed loans. To try to help keep these banks rolling cash flow in as well. So stay on it. If you are a business and apply for a 7A loan, there are a couple of businesses I've been told. Bancorp South was already signed up with the SBA, but they're still working on the logistics. And as I understand it, Hancock Whitney is also signing up with the SBA. And there are a couple other banks that are looking to sign up as well. It just might take some time. So stay on top of that. Keep asking, keep looking at your application, keep calling these banks, trying to see if they're ready and set up, so you can try to get your money. Also want to correct a piece of information. I found out last week that the report that the $1,200 tax or check from the government based on your tax return is in fact no longer a rebate. That was changed in the Senate and then funneled through the House, and I missed it, and I do apologize. So that is based on your 2019 tax return as you fill it out, and especially if you have dependents, of course, you're going to get $500 per child, and $1,200 for adults, and that is $75,000 or less. Once you get over $75,000, then you start to tier off based on your income. At $99,000, you're not going to get any money. So now that's if you're filing single. If you are filing jointly, you get up to $150,000 before things start to peter off. Now, one of the things I want to remind folks is what I was saying. This is not a rebate on a future tax return. The government is just giving you $1,200, $500 per child. So if you are under that income threshold, you're going to get a check, actually. So what the rules said now is that once you finish your tax return, the IRS is going to send you a check, or they're going to make a direct deposit if you're signed up for direct deposit. So please keep that in mind. That was incorrect. It is not a rebate on future taxes. That was an early House version of the bill. It was changed in the Senate and then, of course, passed in the House, and Donald Trump signed it. President Donald Trump signed it. So please keep that in mind. That is not a rebate on future tax dollars. So probably worth taking. Speaking of closed businesses temporarily, Hobby Lobby announced Friday that they would be closing temporarily and furloughing their employees until such time as they deemed it safe to open again. They had been practicing social distancing and mitigation efforts as best as they could, but they realized that was just not sustainable, so they have closed temporarily. And Home Depot, Target, and Walmart have all adjusted their hours, as well as the number of people that can be in the store at any given time. So please keep that in mind. Walmart kind of set the standard at 6 people per 1,000 square feet, which is roughly 80% less capacity than what they are normally allowing in their stores. So please keep that in mind if you're going to go to those places. If you see a large crowd in the parking lot, you're probably going to have to wait in line. Farmers Market in Denham Springs, or the Livingston Parish Farmers Market, is closed now temporarily. They will be one of the ones that will reopen as soon as they deem it safe. Gator Millworks, who are trying to move into their new building, have also shifted some of their production over to face guards, which they make out of a polypropylene plastic. It is to help with splashes, sneezes, perhaps. It's an extra layer of personal protection equipment, PPE. You can look at those guys at www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus. Please remember that our coverage of the coronavirus is free at this time. And I say at this time, it's not going to stop being free. I shouldn't have thrown that in there. Now the rest of our site, of course, a lot of our information is still paid. But as far as coronavirus information goes, all of that is going to be free. Again, you can see that at www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus. Mason Sibley from Springfield, you may have heard of him. He's become quite the staple in their theater department. But of course, with schools shut down completely, you can't even go on campus. He's trying to find an artistic outlet. So Mr. Sibley painted a mural just last week on an abandoned bait and tackle shop in Springfield. I'm trying to give his friends and his his fellow Springfield citizens a little bit of hope. Here in this time when a lot of people are stuck at home and hate being stuck at home and that kind of thing. So you can see pictures of that mural at www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus. The Easter Bunny took to the streets of the town of Livingston on April 4th from 5 to 6 p.m. to deliver a little bit of holiday cheer, I guess you can say, try to cheer people up and that kind of thing. And speaking of getting cheered up, on April 18th, you can watch the Live Oak High cheerleading win the national championship again. That'll be produced on a Cox channel. You can check that information out again at www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus. We talked about this earlier. I wanted to bring it back up. There's a video of Ed Ogeron, Pierre Thomas, John Goodman, who narrated one of those LSU videos, and John Schneider, who get on camera and thank healthcare workers. Please thank your healthcare workers. Right now, they're on the front lines of this thing. A lot of them getting exposed to the virus every day. A lot of them don't have the equipment they need. Please keep them in your thoughts as they continue to fight the novel coronavirus, especially here in Louisiana. One last time, before we even get into your traffic and weather, I want to review those numbers with you real quick. 13,000 total coronavirus cases in Louisiana, 1,803 hospitalized on 561 ventilators. Please remember those last two numbers are the most important, especially in Region 1, which is the New Orleans area where it's kind of ground zero because of Mardi Gras. A lot of folks trying to keep these folks, either get them in the hospital, get them well and get them out, or make sure that there's enough beds to administer proper care. In Livingston Parish, 67 cases on 194 tests. Of course, with those new sites open at Our Lady of the Lake Livingston from 10 to 11:30 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as well as a rapid testing center at the lake after hours on Highway 16. Please remember that you need a doctor's release to go there, but those should help get that testing number up. Of course, our cases are expected to go up as well. As of right now, no curfew per Parish President Leighton Ricks. One last time, some minor delays at 190 4-H Club Road and River Road, range in I-12, as well as range in 190. Looks like some folks are trying to find their way to work today. Please remember to practice those social distancing and mitigation efforts. Washing hands with soap and water all the time at work. Disinfecting common surfaces at home and at the office. And please remember to wash your hands at home. Staying 6 feet away from others in public and at work. 10 or less in a gathering, especially at work. Preferably don't gather at all. Stay at home if sick, and utilize telehealth to get in touch with your doctor. Control your cough or sneeze. And the one I keep forgetting, but have added now, don't touch your face. Also with your weather, it's currently 62 degrees, 84 degrees is your high, 67 your overnight low. One last time, my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us for this Monday morning show. We're back on the grind this week. We did put out a lot of content over the weekend. We recommend you check that out. Please remember it's free. www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus. Couldn't possibly get through all of it today in the morning show, so plenty to read there. We are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays. Please also remember the website that I told you about. We have an app to go with that, and our coronavirus coverage was free. We hope you have a great day. It is going to be a beautiful day. Try to get outside. Try to do a little walking around, moving around, and we will be back with you in the booth or at the desk in my home tomorrow morning.